Hello you guys. As you can tell by the name of the video, I thought I would help you guys get to know my reading taste a bit better and tell you what my top 5 books of 2024 were. So in 2024, I was newly back into reading. I had really started getting back into reading at the end of 2023. I think I had finished A Little Life, and then I picked up the ACOTAR series, which insane switch up with the genres there. So in 2023, I read 6 books, I believe. A Little Life took me from, I think I picked it up like February, and I didn't finish it until August because it was heavy, to say the least. And I was still in school then, so I found it kind of hard to want to read while being in school at the same time. When I was taking breaks from studying, I didn't really want to read. Then around, I think in September, I picked up ACOTAR, and that's when I started that series. I finished that series in January of 2024, I think, and I had like inhaled it. I loved it so much at the time. I don't know if I would ever reread it now, but it genuinely was the series that got me back into reading and got me so excited about reading. So I can definitely give it its credit where it's due. After I finished the ACOTAR series, I kind of was just like, I want to read a bunch of different genres. I like a lot of different genres, I find. I think lit fic stuff is normally my favorite, and horror I really like too. Thrillers can sometimes fall flat to me, and romance I'm not always super there for because I find a lot of them so cringy. So by the end of 2024, I had read 46 books, which I was like astounded by. I couldn't believe that I read that many books. I am gonna tell you guys my top 5 books of that year. These are not gonna be ranked. I'm just gonna go chronologically by the order in which I read them. So first up is Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. If you haven't seen the movie with Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet, this is essentially a memoir written by David Sheff where he's recounting his son's childhood, growing up into adulthood, and his struggle with addiction along the way. I thought that this was a very powerfully written book, and all the feelings that David Sheff expresses in this book are so real and raw. If you've ever had a loved one struggle with an addiction before, this is worth the read in my opinion. When you're in the position of watching a loved one battle with an addiction, you can feel so powerless and like isolated, and I just thought that David Sheff did a great job in expressing how you feel being in that position. I just felt very seen by this, and I thought that the way that David Sheff described thoughts and emotions that come along with watching someone that you love struggle with an addiction and feeling like basically helpless was comforting to a certain degree and powerful. I had never had the experience of hearing anybody speak about being in that position before. It is relatable to me, so I was going through just highlighting and highlighting and highlighting. I thought it was a very beautiful, beautiful book. There were so many great quotes in it. I found out that Nick, which is David's son, also has a memoir out called Tweak, which I put on my TBR because I would love to read from his perspective. So I gave that one 5 stars because I resonated with it so much. The next book that I read was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. You probably know what this one is about by now. This book crushed me. This was my first book from Jenkins Reid. I still haven't read anything else from her, but I need to, because the way that this one was written, like I'm obsessed. So if you don't know what this is about, essentially it follows this big Hollywood actress named Evelyn Hugo. She's in her later years of life, and she finally decides that she wants to do a tell-all about her life, spill all her secrets, put all the rumors to bed. She ends up picking essentially what seems like a very random interviewer to interview her. Not a big name like news channel or anything, a relatively small name interviewer, Monique Grant. And basically the entire book is just Evelyn telling her life story from being a new and emerging actress in Hollywood up until now, where she's living alone in her like penthouse suite and how she got here. The old Hollywood setting that most of this book took place in was so good. I loved it. We watch Evelyn blossom into a star and see her make some very questionable decisions along the way. However, I think that this made her that much more lovable and real because she's human. She's a human girl. By the end of this book, I was absolutely destroyed. And it was beautiful. So beautiful. Gave it 5 stars. The next 3 books I listened to via audiobook, so I don't have physical copies. The first one is You Like It Darker by Stephen King. This is a short story collection. So when I read this, I had only previously read one other book from Stephen King, The Long Walk, which I actually read that in 2023. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was one of the books I read in 2023. And I hated it. It was so bad, being in the minds of those 12-year-old boys. I didn't let that put me off from Stephen King though, because I just feel like I'm gonna like him. Obviously, his popularity is there for a reason. So I got this audiobook on Audible. It consists of 12 short stories, and out of the 12 of them, I gave 7 of them 5 stars. I was so obsessed. There were longer ones. I think there were 2 really long ones that were split up into like chapters, and then the other ones were relatively short. So after that, I was like, okay, I need to be reading more Stephen King. It was so good. And this is actually the book that won Best Horror Book for the Goodreads 2024 Choice Awards. The stories that I gave 2 stars were Two Talented Bastards, The Fifth Step, Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, The Turbulence Expert, Lori, Rattlesnakes, and The Answer Man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So good. I ended up giving that one a 4.75, which I should probably just give it a 5. But I gave it a 4.75 because not all of them were 5 stars for me. But there was not anything in that whole book that I like hated. They were all amazing. After that one, I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. This is about Gilda, who is an anxious and depressed 27-year-old lesbian who falls into this job accidentally as a receptionist at a Catholic church. So this is like all character driven. We're watching her struggle through every day. She's so awkward and like frantic at work because she doesn't want anybody to know she's a lesbian because she's working at a Catholic church. And the woman whose job she's filling, she passed away, and Gilda starts to believe that she was murdered and is like having these frantic thoughts about that and trying to find out who murdered her. So this is definitely not the book to read if you want an escapism story. However, I found it really comforting to hear someone describe the feelings that may come along with depression and anxiety. And Emily Austen she does it so perfectly. She is a wizard with words. This was a beautiful, beautiful book. I cried. I need to buy a physical copy of this. Well, I need to buy a physical copy of these last 3 because I don't have them. And I actually have read another from Emily Austen this year, Interesting Facts About Space. I also really loved that one. I need to read everything that Emily Austen writes. This was a beautiful, beautiful book. I gave it 5 stars. It made me cry at the end while I was listening to it at work. The last book that I have is The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. This book starts off with us meeting Rachel, who is working at a bookstore when she meets her soon-to-be best friend and roommate, James. They're both in their early 20s, I believe, and this whole book essentially is about them going through their 20s and all the mess that comes along with that. So I read the synopsis of this book on Goodreads before I started filming this, and it was described as brilliantly funny, which there were some funny moments in it maybe, but I found that the overlying tone of this book was pretty serious. I loved that about it though. I cared about both Rachel and James so much, and their naivety throughout the story was worrying me so much because I just wanted to see them make decisions that would further serve them and help them build strong and healthy relationships, help them build the careers that they wanted to build, and become established and comfortable in their adult lives. So I ended up giving this one a 4.75. Honestly, like maybe it's just a 5. I don't know. I didn't get that like 5-star feeling I felt like at the end, but I really loved it. And I continued to think about this book for quite a while after. And I still think about it, and I would definitely read it again. So these are my top 5 books from 2024. I hope that this helped you get a better grasp on what my reading taste is like. I know it's kind of crazy. Like we had a memoir, lit fic, horror, and then 2 more lit fics. And that is normally what I resonate with. But I couldn't just read lit fic. Like I need different genres splitting it up. Need to get my hands on the rest of the books from this list because I love them all so much. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.